Everyone knows that feeling, wanting to experience more stories, but struggling to find the time. That's where Audible changes everything. With over 1 million audiobooks and Audible originals, there's a story waiting to spark anyone's imagination. Take The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, the gripping psychological thriller that's keeping listeners on the edge of their seats. Imagine unraveling its mysteries during your morning commute, or losing yourself in its twists and turns while doing household chores. That's the magic of Audible. It transforms daily routines into opportunities for thrilling discoveries. The best part? Members get access to thousands of included titles, with new content added regularly. From bestsellers to hidden gems, every genre imaginable is at their fingertips. And with one easy-to-use app, switching between favorites or discovering new passions has never been simpler. There's more to imagine when you listen. Start a free 30-day Audible trial and get your first audiobook free at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
I'm Indy Neidell.
And I'm Burns.
And this is the Baseball History Time Machine.
Sunday's brain-melting parade of knowledge.
Your taglines are getting weirder and better.
Thank you, sir.
Now, we are recording this midsummer weekend in Stockholm, Sweden, which is the biggest holiday weekend of the year here other than Christmas. So the sun is up most of the night, and we are celebrating by talking about baseball.
Which is not very Swedish, but it is very much fun.
That it is.
And hey, baseball might not be Swedish, but there is some baseball here. You play with a team, right?
I do. I play with a Division I team called Enskede, which is spelled Enskede, Enskede. Our division covers all of central Sweden, and there's 4 Stockholm teams in it.
You guys travel much?
We usually have a couple of road trips a year to like Karlstad or Gävle or Enköping. We play Enköping fairly soon, actually. Mm-hmm. It's nice when your opponent is a whole city. You feel professional.
Yeah, that's got to feel good.
You know what felt great? My first year with the team was 2018, and we made the playoffs, and we flew up north to play Umeå and Skellefteå. And when you're flying in a plane with your baseball team to play a couple other cities, you feel like you've arrived.
That's the closest we'll get to feeling like an MLB player. Yeah. And how did you do?
We beat Skellefteå and we lost to Umeå.
Okay.
The games were in back-to-back days, though, and we only had 10 guys and the coach who could make the trip. So our top starter could only pitch the first day. Mm-hmm. And I got hit on the hand by a pitch that first day badly enough that I couldn't play the second game. So it was only 9 guys and the coach. No, it's fun. I was a 50-year-old rookie.
You're the oldest guy on the team?
Oh, yes. Most of the guys are like 30 or so.
And what position do you play?
Well, I was always an outfielder, left field preferably. Mm-hmm. But I've lost enough speed and eyesight by now that I mainly DH. Okay. I have yet to play a game this season, though. I messed my back up this spring, and it's better now. But I've had to be away working in Germany and all. In August, after the break, I should get in a few games.
Well, let us know how it goes. It'd be cool to have a little peek in every now and then.
I will. You can record some audio at some of the games. Okay?
Yeah. Actually, that'd be fun. I'd love to be.
Indy's at bats. So
yes,
let's see. I'll foul as many pitches off as I can, so it's like a 40-minute episode.
So I can just talk about a game in Sweden. That is a great idea. I love that.
All right. So, shall we get down to business?
Yep. What are we talking about today?
Today, I'm going to continue a topic we began a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. I went over the single-season shutout percentage leaders, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Those players who'd thrown shutouts in over 25% of their starts in a single season. And I thought today I'd look at the career leaders for that.
Oh, so the 25%ers. Did anybody in baseball history throw shutouts in 25% or more games of their career starts, though?
No. The most for a career was 18.1%. I looked up all the pitchers who had 40 or more career shutouts, and then made the list of those who had 10% or more of their career starts be shutouts.
Why 10%?
Well, last episode, I mentioned that in 1968, 10% of games started had been shutouts. Remember?
That's still crazy.
And so in 1968, 10% of all games played that year were shutouts. So it was stuck in my head. And my list today, then, is a list of 26 people, and it contains a couple of big surprises. Guys who, if someone asked me to make this name of 26 people, I'd probably only guess after literally a few hundred guesses.
Okay, this sounds really fun. And where do we start? Do you want to start top or do you want to start bottom of this list?
I want to start at the top.
Okay.
Why not? The guy at the top, the guy who threw shutouts in 18.1% of his career starts, which is 57 shutouts in 315 games started, is Big Ed Walsh.
Big Ed.
Who was described once as the only man alive who could strut while standing still.
Okay, I'm trying to picture that in my head and I'm failing.
Walsh did not lack for confidence, that is
Okay.
sure. He always wanted the ball, and for half a decade, he got it. You know, before the modern pitching distance came around in 1893, there were guys every year, well, we've seen it, pitch 500 or 600 innings in a year. But with the longer distance, that was no longer possible. And after 1896, no one the rest of the 1800s pitched even 400 innings in a season. And in the 20th century, the only hurlers who've topped 400 innings in a season are Vic Willis in 1902, Iron Man McGinnity in 1903 and 4, Happy Jack Cheeseborough also in 1904, and Big Ed Walsh in 1907 and 1908.
That's a lot of innings, though.
In 1908, Ed Walsh pitched 464 innings, which is the most post-1893, the year Amos Ruzzi had 482.
464 innings. That is insanity.
And that's after pitching 422 in 1907. In fact, from 1907 to 1912, he pitched 2,248 innings, which is 300 more than anyone else in Major League. And this is when you have Walter Johnson, Christy Mathewson, Three Finger Brown, all these guys, 300 more innings Walsh pitched than anyone else. Those 6 years, which is a 375 inning a year average, even include 1909 when he was recovering from 1908 and only managed 230 innings.
Only? When was the last time a pitcher even pitched 230 innings in a single season?
David Price did it in 2016.
Okay, so Big Ed Walsh was a real workhorse. What sort of numbers was he putting up other than just eating up innings?
Ed Walsh has the distinction of having the lowest career ERA of all time, 182.
His career ERA is 182. His whole career put together was 182.
It sure was, and having an 18.1 shutout percentage of his career games started is a big reason for that. From 1906, his first real full season, until 1910, he had 5 straight seasons with an ERA below 2. The last 3 of those were under 1.5. And in 1910, it was just 127, which led the majors.
Okay, I can understand now why he would be strutting all the time. I'd be strutting all the time as well, but that is microscopic.
And get this. He was 18 and 20 that year. 18 wins and 20 losses, and led the league in losses.
Back up. He lost 20 games with a 127 ERA.
That is the dead ball era for you. Although no one in history has ever had a losing season with an ERA below that in over 100 innings.
He was a White Sox, yeah?
Yeah, and 1910 was the only year of his career that they really were not a good team at all.
Okay.
But of course, his pitching was a big reason they were good in all those other years.
Yeah, of course. How was his record in the year he had 464 innings pitched?
He went 40 and 15. He was the second and final 40-game winner of the 20th century after Happy Jack in 1904. And funny thing, both of those 20th century 40-game winners were spitballers.
I would not have guessed that.
And they both apparently learned it from Elmer Strickland, who taught it to Walsh at 1904 spring training, although he didn't really begin to use it until 1906 when he pitched 10 shutouts. In 1908, he had 11, started 49 games, completed 42 of them, and appeared in another 17 in relief. And in terms of a modern stat like WAR, that was not even his best year.
It wasn't?
No, that would be 1912, his last full season. In 1912, he went 27 and 17 in 393 innings and had a 12.1 WAR. 12.1 WAR.
That must have topped the league, right?
It did not, actually. See, that was the first of Walter Johnson's 5 straight years leading the league and 4 straight leading the majors in WAR, well, retroactively. Here's some fun side notes, so you're going to like this.
Okay.
1912 is remembered as one of the great pitching years. Both Walter Johnson and Smokey Joe Wood won 16 games. Each of them won a 16-game winning streak, right? Johnson was 33 and 12 for the season for second place Washington. Joe Wood was 34 and 5, 34 wins and only 5 losses for the pennant-winning Red Sox. And those are the names we think of when we talk of 1912. But get this. In the MVP voting that year, which was the Chalmers Award at the time, right? Ed Walsh actually got more votes than either Johnson or Wood.
No way.
Oh, yes. Tris Speaker won the award, but Walsh came in second. Johnson and Wood finished third and fifth. Walsh was also second the...
Hi, I'm Richard Karn. And you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. The brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that?
For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just go to getcopperhead.com. That's getcopperhead.com for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Getcopperhead.com.
The year before, 1911, to Ty Cobb and his .419 batting average.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to beat.
That was the year with the new cork-centered ball, which increased offense. So Walsh's ERAs, those last two number 2 MVP seasons, were above 2.
What happened to him after that?
He was 31 years old, and he had won 182 games. He would win but 13 more in less than 200 total innings over the next 5 years. In the Chicago City series after the 1912 season, he took a line drive to the face, right? He kept pitching, but he later said his arm had felt weak. And he would blame himself for the brevity of his career, saying he really should have rested his arm in 1913, but he didn't, and he kept trying to be Ed Walsh. It didn't work.
I like spitballers. We should actually have an episode and talk about them.
Oh, we will. There was a bunch of good spitballers. Walsh's spitter was described by Walter Johnson himself as the most tantalizing in baseball, since he had some real speed, right? Walsh was a fast spitballer. But at the plate, the ball just literally dropped off the table. It had the same sort of action as a split finger fastball does, right? The great Sam Crawford said, and this is a quote, I think the ball disintegrated on the way to the plate and the catcher put it back together again. I swear, when it went past the plate, it was just a spit went by.
That's a great quote.
Walsh was a complete package. He was a great fielding pitcher as well, with one of the most devastating pickoff moves in baseball.
Cheers to Big Ed Walsh.
Yeah, I got a drink here.
Right,
cheers. Everybody, cheers to Big Ed Walsh.
Cheers to Big Ed Walsh. There we go.
I love Big Ed. The lowest career ERA of all time, and the highest shutout percentage, too.
Hey, can I make a guess? Is the second highest shutout percentage of all time the guy with the second lowest career ERA?
You know what? It is.
Does that progression continue to the third and fourth and so on?
It does not. It only continues to second. Only the second.
I was looking for maybe some kind of formula.
I see.
And who is the second lowest all-time ERA and second highest shutout percentage then?
That person is Addie Joss, a great pitcher and a great tragedy.
What was tragic about him?
That he died in what should have been his mid-career. In 1908, the same year that Walsh put up 464 innings, Joss went 24-11 with a 1.16 ERA, 1.16 ERA, and a 0.806 whip. A whip which has only been topped 3 times by anyone who pitched 200-plus innings. Once by Pedro, once by Walter Johnson, and also by Justin Verlander in 2019.
Oh, that's quite recently. That's pretty fast company, though.
Yeah, and you wouldn't guess that, would you? Joss's career ERA of 189 is second only to Walsh's 182. But it is Addie Joss who has the lowest all-time career whip, walks and hits allowed per innings pitched, right? At 0.968.
Does anybody else have a career whip below 1?
Well, Ed Walsh does, a bit higher than Joss's.
Yes.
And also Jacob deGrom.
Okay, so we've now had 2 instances of quite recent players where they come into these kind of conversations, which I find cool. Yeah, Verlander's crazy. And
but being up there with Ed Walsh and Addie Joss.
That's an honor. That's an honor. Yeah. Let's hear more about the tragic story of Addie Josh. What is Addie short for anyway?
It's Joss, and it's Adrian Joss, whose physique, because he was very tall and very thin, got him called things like the human hairpin.
I still wonder about Briss Lord, who was called the human eyeball, which we actually referred to in the previous episode.
We mentioned for the first time, I think we're going to have to keep referring to the human eyeball until someone tells us why he was called the human eyeball.
Exactly. We're fishing. If anybody out there is listening, we are fishing for information about Briss Lord and why he was called the human eyeball. I mean, Briss Lord is a pretty cool name.
And you think, maybe it's because he walked all the time, and he did walk a bunch, but not all the time, you know? Okay, one day we'll find out. But back to the human hairpin. Yes. Okay, Joss's parents were Swiss, and they came to Wisconsin to work with cheese making.
As you do.
As many did back then, yeah. And when he finished high school, he worked as a teacher, and he pitched for the town team of Horicon, Wisconsin. And he developed there a really unusual corkscrew pitching motion. He would turn his back completely on the batter and kick his leg really high, and then he'd come around with a sidearm throw that kept the ball hidden from the batter till the last second, where the release point is, and really confused people. So he pitched a couple great seasons in the minors with the Toledo Mud Hens, and then he got the attention of the Cleveland Blues. That's today's Guardians.
This was before they were the Indians, right?
Yeah, and before they were the Naps as well. They were called the Naps for a decade when Nap Lajoie was their popular player-manager. In his debut with Cleveland in 1902, Joss took a no-hitter into the 6th inning and finished with a one-hitter. The hit, though, was on a sliding catch in the outfield that everybody thought was a catch, but the umpire called it a hit. And this sparked a great deal of anger and outrage. And do you know who that umpire was that day?
No idea.
It was our old friend Bob Carruthers.
Hey, how about that? Parisian Bob still making an appearance?
Yeah, he umpired for a while after.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So he loved the game that much that he actually decided, you know what, I'm actually going to become an umpire.
Yeah.
I actually respect that. We could also do an episode on former players
who became umpires. There's some really good ones.
Oh, really?
I'll add that to the list. That's not on the list. I will add it to the list. Okay, Joss led the American League in shutouts with 5 as a rookie. Sure. And he won 17 games, and he had a 2.77 ERA. 2.77, remember that, because that was the highest ERA he had in his whole career by half a run.
Seriously?
Yep. The second highest ERA Addie Joss ever had was 2.26 in his final season. Okay. There is a kind of explanation, though. See, after 1902, his rookie year, the AL instituted the foul strike rule, and offense plummeted as the dead ball era began in earnest. So, although his life story is tragic, he was lucky in the sense that he played pretty much all his career in an era that helped give him amazing stats. Remember, 1911 was when the cork-centered ball was introduced, and 1910 was Joss's last season.
But Ed Walsh's season after 1910 raised his career ERA, right?
They did. Hey, here's a fun fact. At the end of the 1910 season, Ed Walsh's career ERA was just 1.61. That is dead ball for you. Now, Joss won his first ERA title in 1904 at 1.59, though he missed a bunch of the season with illness. In 1905, 6, 7, and 8, he topped 20 wins each year, with a league-leading high of 27 in 1907, and his best ERA was in 1908 when, as I mentioned, he led the majors with 1.16.
I mean, numbers this low is like unfathomable. It's like incomprehensible to think that that was his actual ERA.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
But when he was on, he was on. He threw 7 one-hitters, and he threw 2 no-hitters in his brief career, 9 years, and his finest moment had to be October 2nd, 1908.
This is going to be good. What did he do then?
This is going to be good. In the heat of a tight pennant race between Chicago, Cleveland, and Detroit, first he went 6-1 in September, right? And then on October 2nd, he squared off against Ed Walsh and the White Sox. Now, Detroit is in first place by half a game over Cleveland. And Cleveland's 1 game ahead of Chicago. So this is a big game.
Wow, yeah. This means a lot, yeah.
And this is one of the great pitching duels in history. Ed Walsh struck out 15 while scattering 4 hits, and a passed ball in the third allowed the only Cleveland run. But Joss was perfect. Perfect. Addie Joss threw the second perfect game in AL history, needing only 74 pitches to retire all 27 Chicago batters in the heat of the pennant race.
That's less than 3 pitches per batter.
It is.
But the Tigers won that year, right?
Yeah, the Tigers, they had a 10-game winning streak down the stretch, and Joss can't pitch every day.
No.
So finishing half a game out of first, which Cleveland did, was the closest Joss ever came to a World Series.
That's sad, but some great drama, though.
In the off-seasons, Addie Joss wrote a Sunday sports column for a Toledo paper, and he got pretty popular as a sports writer. And in the off-season, after the 1908 season, right, he studied some engineering, and he designed an electrical scoreboard that allowed people to keep track of balls and strikes, which hadn't been done before.
Okay.
And Cleveland installed the Joss indicator, as it was called, in the new scoreboard at League Park.
Yeah.
And it also posted the team's lineups, which was new as well.
It's cool what these guys get up to in their free time. Not only being an incredible ball player, but being an engineer.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
I'm going to study Doc White, dentist.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, 1909 was tough for Joss. He suffered from bouts of fatigue, and I don't have any explanation for them other than that they were bouts of fatigue.
Okay.
And he only went 2-10 the second half of the season, although overall he was 14 wins and 13 losses, and he did only have a 1.71 ERA, and he gave up exactly 0 homers. His physical issues didn't end in 1910 either.
This doesn't sound good. What happened?
He tore a ligament in his pitching arm, so he only appeared in 13 games that whole year. But in his second start of the season, he threw his second no-hitter, allowing 2 walks this time. He actually, funny thing, he fielded 10 balls that game, and he got 10 assists throwing the guy out, right? Which is, that's pretty good. 10 in a game is a lot for a pitcher to field.
Pretty good, yeah.
His last start that season was July 25th, and it was the last start of his career.
I have a feeling this is not going to be good.
In early 1911, before the season, he still had a little arm trouble, although he himself was confident he'd be okay to pitch by May. But at the beginning of April, before an exhibition game, he was standing on the field talking to a friend when he fainted, and 11 days later, he was dead of tubercular meningitis.
That's terrible.
He died 2 days after opening day, which also just happened to be his 31st birthday.
That is an incredibly sad ending to an incredible career. Or what would have been.
Well, it was as it was, but still. Addie Joss wasn't just one of the best pitchers in baseball. He was one of the most liked players as well. So it was a big deal for everyone.
Of course.
Now, his funeral was only like 3 or 4 days later, and all of his teammates attended instead of playing the regularly scheduled game against Detroit, which they were initially told to do to play the game by AL President Ban Johnson. But Johnson relented when Cleveland's manager George Stovall, the one after Lejoie, said, then we're going on strike to go to the funeral.
Damn right.
Yeah. Oh, and hey, you remember Chicago's outfielder from the 1880s, Billy Sunday?
Yeah, he became like a mega evangelist or something, right?
Well, he was the biggest preacher in the U.S. in the early 20th century, and he was the most famous evangelist the U.S. had.
Yeah.
Before Billy Graham. That was it.
I mean, with a surname like Sunday.
Billy Sunday.
The marketing is there for you. Let's not play.
And he gave the eulogy at Joss's funeral, and this is what it said. This is a quote. Okay. It's hard hitting.
Yeah.
Joss tried hard to strike out death, and it seemed for a time as though he would win. The bases were full. The score was a tie with 2 outs. Thousands, yes, millions in a nation's grandstands and bleachers sat breathless watching the conflict. The great twirler stood erect in the box. Death walked the plate.
Wow, that is some deep stuff. To hear that, I think some grown men would have had to jerk those tears back.
I'm telling you, when I was putting together like Joss stuff that I wanted to talk about today and writing that quote down and stuff, I was getting.
I'm getting a bit teary myself over here. That's tough to hear.
In July, an AL All-Star team played Cleveland in a benefit. Well, Cleveland was in the AL, but the rest of the league made an All-Star team. And they played Cleveland in a benefit for Joss's widow and his 2 kids. And it featured Walter Johnson and Smokey Joe Wood for the All-Stars, pitching against Cy Young because it was Cy Young's final season, and he was still with Cleveland then. He would be traded to the Braves.
Yes.
But so the game raised nearly $13,000 for Joss's family, and that is more than 3 times what Joss's annual salary was.
Can we actually toast Addie Joss as well?
Yeah, sure. Cheers to Addie Joss.
Cheers to Addie Josh. What a legend. Gone too soon.
No.
Gone too soon. You know, at this rate, we're going to take years for you to get through the shutout percentage list the way we're going at the moment. Our pace is not great.
I got sidetracked, but I'm not actually going to go into all the guys on the list, like these first 2.
Okay.
And some of them we have actually already talked about. Now, Joss pitched 45 shutouts for 17.31%. I don't know if I mentioned that before. One thing I want to say before I move on. The Hall of Fame actually waived the 10-year rule that you had to have appeared in at least one game in 10 seasons. Joss only played 9 seasons.
Yeah, I was about to ask that question.
The Hall of Fame waived the rule for Addie Joss.
Actually, that is class. That's a touch of class.
Addie Joss was class.
That was a touch of class for a touch of class guy.
Yeah.
There we go.
So, okay, in the shutout list, numbers, I will point out that numbers 3 through 9 on the list are also all from the dead ball era.
That doesn't surprise anyone.
Okay. Yeah. They are, I'll say numbers 3 to 9. Number 3, Three Finger Brown, 55 shutouts, 16.57%. Number 4, Walter Johnson with his record 110 shutouts, 16.51%. Number 5, Grover Dode Alexander.
Yes.
90 shutouts, which is number 2. 15% even. Number 6, Rube Waddell. 50 shutouts, 14.71%. Number 7, Christy Mathewson. 79 shutouts, 14.31%. Number 8, Ed Rulbach. 40 shutouts, 13.33%. And number 9, Gettysburg Eddie Plank, 69 shutouts, which were 13.04% of his starts.
Those are some pretty big names in there.
They sure are. But we will get to some surprises soon enough.
Who is number 10 on the list?
Number 10 barely made the list in terms of quantity of shutouts since he had exactly, remember I said I'm only doing 40 shutouts.
That's
and
it.
he had exactly 40 career shutouts. And 33 of them came in the final 5 years of his career since, like Eddie Joss, his career ended prematurely, although he did not die.
This must be Sandy Koufax, right?
Yeah, it is.
Sandy Koufax. Okay, good.
And actually, he had 31 shutouts in just his final 4 seasons when he unsurprisingly led the league in ERA all 4 times.
Yeah.
His career percentage is 12.74% of his starts as shutouts. Now, numbers 11 through 14 in the list are 2 dead ballers and 2 guys who started in the dead ball era but continued pitching past 1920. Number 11 is Babe Adams with 44 career shutouts, which were 12.43% of his starts.
Yeah, I remember him. We talked about his rookie season when he had that amazing ERA, right?
Yeah, in episode 2. He was 12-3 with a 1.11 ERA as a 27-year-old Pirate rookie in 1909. And then he won 3 complete game victories in that World Series with a 1.33 series ERA.
That's a hell of a rookie season.
Yeah. And here's the thing. The next time he pitched in a series, well, also the last time he did, was an inning of scoreless relief with the Pirates in 1925 versus Washington.
Okay, but what was his real name?
He was called Charles Adams. Okay. And he had a great career. And he may have made the Hall of Fame, if not for something that I'm going to get to in just a minute.
Why do they call him Babe? This is before Roof and all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One story is that he got the nickname with Denver in the minors in 1907 after a woman asking for an autograph said, within earshot of other players on the team, that he had a lovely round face like a baby's. But the book Baseball Nicknames says it was from Louisville in 1908 when the female fans would yell, "Oh, you babe," when he'd go out to pitch. So
Ladies'
I think
man.
you should probably trust the book. Oh, needless to say, he was quite popular with the ladies.
Of course.
Breaking it in 1909, the next 4 years he was one of the NL's top pitchers, but a real watershed moment in his life came July 17th, 1914, when he and Giants star Rube Marquardt locked horns and both went the distance in a 21-inning marathon.
They both pitched 21 full innings.
They did. The Giants scored twice in the 21st to win 3-1. But impressive though this might have been, it may well be responsible for damaging both stars' arms. Marquardt was 8-8 at the time, but he finished the season 12-22, which included a 12-game losing streak. And then 1915 was the worst ERA of his career at 4.04, which was so far above league average that his ERA plus was just 65. And 100 is, league average.
Yeah. Wow.
By 1916, he was back on the beam, but still.
Yeah, that hurt. Like those 2 or those 21 innings game, really did a number on them.
Yeah.
I mean, and what about Babe Adams?
Well, he finished the season 13-16. And then in 1915, he was 14-14, but with an ERA worse than league average for the first time in his career.
Yeah, maybe throwing 21 solid innings isn't good for your arm after all.
But it got worse. With actual physical pain in his shoulder in 1916, he went 2 wins and 9 losses with a 5.72 ERA. That's just a 46 ERA plus when the Pirates released him.
Yeah. But his career didn't end, though. Not if he was in the 1925 World Series, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He sat out the rest of that year and all winter long recuperating. And in 1917... he went 20-13 with a 1.75 ERA in the Western League, in the minors. And but he would have likely stayed in the minors after 1918, where he was 14-3 at Kansas City. But the war that year suddenly made pitchers over 35 attractive to major league teams since they were exempt from the draft. And who knew how long the war was going to last? So Babe Adams returned to Pittsburgh late in the season, and then in 1919, suddenly at age 37, the Babe Adams of old was back.
All right, I love that. Yeah,
he
let's
was
go.
back, 37 years old. He had 8 seasons left in him. Okay, only 5 full ones. Some of them were great.
Impressive.
He led the National League 4 straight times in strikeouts to walks percentage, 4 straight times in fewest walk allowed, 3 straight times in whip, and Adams was especially after his return, one of the greatest control pitchers of all time. In 1919, in 263 innings, he allowed 1 homer and but 23 walks. In 1920, also in 263 innings, he allowed 18 walks. 263 innings. In fact, his career rate of 1.29 walks, 1.29 walks per 9 innings, is second post-1900 only to Deacon Philippi, who actually was Adams' teammate in the early Pittsburgh years. But by comparison, right?
Yeah.
Greg Maddux, who led the league in lowest walk rate 9 times.
Yes.
Maddux would have to pitch another 1,960 innings without giving up a single walk to be as stingy as Babe Adams was for his career.
That is insanity.
I mean, come on.
That puts it into a crazy perspective. How good this guy was.
This guy did not walk anybody.
He was the real deal, this guy. Like, I'm a fan now. This dude sounds incredible.
Yeah. And he did a lot of that in his late 30s and early 40s. And he left the majors after 1926 with a career record of 194 wins, and 140 losses, and a 2.76 lifetime ERA. Now, although I don't know how likely it is well possible that had he not had 4.5 years of arm issues in the middle of his career, which even got him down to the minors for a while, he would be in the Hall of Fame. Like, he won 194 games. Those 4.5 years, he could have won 250 games for his career, which would have put him in the Hall.
Yeah, it would have catapulted him.
So that marathon game may well have kept Babe Adams out of the Hall of Fame.
That's actually quite sad. I've got goosebumps, bro.
Oh, yeah?
I've got literal goosebumps. Like, heck, he's number 11 in career shutout percentage.
I know.
Like, come on. Like, surely they can... Man, I just want this guy to be
I
in
love
now.
Babe
Like,
he's so... And come on, three complete game wins in a World Series. A 1.11 rookie ERA.
That's insanity.
Yeah. And then to think that Greg Maddux would have to pitch nearly 2,000 more innings with no walks to be as tight with walks.
That is actually the thing that spun me the most about all of that. Like, as good as Greg Maddux was, he'd have to do that to actually match Babe Adams.
Babe Adams. Yeah.
That's
now, I'm going to do a little bit more down the list, but we're definitely going to have to continue this another time.
We should definitely do a Babe Adams.
But we've got a couple of good things to talk, new things to talk about. Now, I'm going to go a couple more, do the first half of this list.
Sure.
Our old friend Doc White was number 12. We talked about him during the single season shutout thing. He had 45 career shutouts for a 12.4%. And our old friend Hippo Vaughn from the double no-hit game when him and Fred Tony both threw no-hitters. He is number 13. His 41 shutouts were 12.35% of his career starts.
And these guys are really starting to feel like just old friends. Like, we'll see them soon. It'll be fine. And we can catch up.
But when you talk so much, like I said, I got really sad when I was going over the Addie Joss story.
Yeah, that's incredibly sad.
You're like, this guy, man, how good was this guy? And everybody, and he wasn't a jerk,
exactly.
He wasn't. He's no clubhouse poison. Everyone liked Addie Joss.
The good die young, as they say.
Yeah, they do. Well, Billy Joel says that. Okay, but since we've gotten to 13 out of 26 on my list, I am actually going to end this today and then pick up the other half of the list next time, which has, for real, only 3 guys from the dead ball era, right? So we've had all these dead ball guys.
Okay.
And actually, it has players from not just like the 60s, but from several other eras, including 2 guys that were, to me at least, really, really huge surprises.
All right, then we can pick this up next time.
Yeah. And in the meantime, everybody out there, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can join us on Patreon, where for a little bit of money, you get early access to these episodes and help us to hopefully be able to spend more time on them so we can get back to doing them weekly and maybe even making them longer. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be nice to do that.
It would be very nice. Okay, gang, that is it for today from me, Indy Neidell.
And me, Burns.
And the Baseball History Time Machine.
Nice.
Shopify's point of sale system helps you sell at every stage of your business. Need a fast and secure way to take payments in person? We've got you covered. How about card readers you can rely on anywhere you sell?
Thanks, have a good one.
Yep, that too. Want one place to manage all your online and in-person sales? That's kind of our thing. Wherever you sell, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen. Shopify.com/listen.